How the Rothschilds stayed rich for 250 years, when 90% of fortunes die. Wealth managers estimate that around 70% of wealthy families lose their fortunes by the second generation. By the third, that figure climbs to nearly 90%. Kingdoms have gone bankrupt. Banking empires have disappeared. Industrial giants that once seemed untouchable have faded into history. Yet one family, born in a cramped street behind the walls of Frankfurt's Jewish quarter more than 250 years ago, is still wealthy today. Tonight, the 7 old money secrets of the Rothschild dynasty, every one of them documented, and every one of them still working. It all began in the 1760s with Mayer Amschel Rothschild, a coin dealer living in Frankfurt's Judengasse, the Jewish quarter where residents faced strict legal restrictions on where they could live and work. From those narrow streets, he built relationships with wealthy clients and European nobility, slowly earning a reputation for honesty, discretion, and financial skill. But his greatest achievement wasn't the business he created. It was the system he built for his children. Most successful founders dream of building one great headquarters. Mayer Amschel Rothschild imagined something completely different. Instead of concentrating his business in Frankfurt, he sent each of his 5 sons to a different financial capital in Europe. Amschel stayed in Frankfurt. Nathan established himself in London. James built the Paris branch. Salomon moved to Vienna. Karl headed to Naples. At first glance, it looked like a simple expansion. In reality, it was one of the greatest risk management strategies ever conceived. Europe during the early 19th century wasn't a peaceful place. Wars erupted regularly, governments collapsed, currencies fluctuated wildly, and borders changed almost overnight. A banking house operating from only one city could be wiped out by a single political crisis. Mayer's solution was elegant. If one market failed, the others would continue operating. The brothers weren't merely relatives running separate businesses. They formed a tightly connected network that exchanged letters, intelligence, investment opportunities, and capital faster than almost anyone else in Europe. While competitors waited weeks for news to travel across borders, the Rothschild brothers were already coordinating decisions through trusted family couriers. Each office became another set of eyes and ears watching Europe's financial landscape. This gave the family something extraordinarily valuable: diversification before diversification had a name. Different governments, different currencies, different economies. One family. Even the famous 5 arrows on the Rothschild family crest symbolized this exact strategy. Each arrow represents one son. Individually, an arrow can snap. Bound together, they become remarkably difficult to break. Throughout history, kings borrowed, aristocrats borrowed, governments borrowed. The Rothschilds preferred something far more profitable. They became the people doing the lending. As Europe descended into the Napoleonic Wars, enormous sums of money had to move across a continent consumed by conflict. Armies couldn't fight without supplies. Governments couldn't finance wars without credit. Gold needed to cross dangerous borders where ordinary merchants simply couldn't operate safely. Nathan Mayer Rothschild, who had established the London branch, became one of the key financiers helping Britain move funds that supported the Duke of Wellington's campaign against Napoleon. Coordinating shipments of gold through war-torn Europe required extraordinary logistics, trusted partners, and impeccable timing. Few organizations possessed all 3. The profits weren't made from fighting wars. They came from providing financial services when almost nobody else could. That's a pattern that would define the family for generations. While nobles spent fortunes maintaining lavish palaces and extravagant lifestyles, the Rothschilds focused on building businesses that generated cash year after year. Interest payments, government bonds, commercial financing, and international banking created streams of income that continued regardless of fashion or political trends. Old money rule number 6 is simple. Interest should be something you collect, not something you pay. Making money is surprisingly common. Keeping it inside the family is much harder. Every generation faces the same invisible threat. Children inherit wealth. Grandchildren inherit smaller portions. Great-grandchildren divide it even further. Add marriages into other wealthy families, inheritance disputes, and competing ambitions, and enormous fortunes gradually dissolve into countless tiny pieces. The Rothschilds recognized this problem long before most dynasties even thought about it. During much of the 19th century, historians have documented an unusually high number of marriages between different branches of the Rothschild family. Sons often married cousins from another branch, reconnecting wealth that would otherwise have flowed outward. By historians' counts, a large share of these marriages occurred within the family, strengthening ties between the London, Paris, Frankfurt, Vienna, and Naples branches. Today, such practices would understandably seem unusual, and they belong firmly to a different historical era. But in the context of 19th century European banking dynasties, the strategy reflected a deliberate effort to preserve both trust and shared ownership across generations. Yet marriage wasn't the only innovation. The family also avoided concentrating absolute power in a single heir. Rather than handing everything to the eldest son, different branches continued operating as partnerships. Each office retained significant independence while remaining connected through shared family interests. London could succeed even if Naples struggled. Paris could continue expanding even if Vienna faced political turmoil. Ask almost anyone to name a valuable asset today, and they'll probably mention stocks, cryptocurrencies, or technology companies. Their prices flash across screens every second, rising one day and crashing the next. The Rothschilds preferred something quieter, something that didn't need a ticker symbol to become more valuable. Their philosophy wasn't simply to own businesses. It was to own assets whose true worth unfolded over generations rather than quarterly earnings reports. That meant buying things like vineyards, estates, fine art, and private businesses, assets that rarely had a public market price attached to them. Among the most famous examples are Château Lafite Rothschild and Château Mouton Rothschild, two of Bordeaux's legendary first-growth wine estates. For well over a century, these vineyards have produced some of the world's most sought-after wines. Every harvest adds another chapter to their legacy, and every passing decade strengthens the prestige attached to their name. They accumulated assets that appreciated quietly over decades while preserving culture, history, and prestige. People often assume that truly wealthy families never experience disaster. History says otherwise. The Rothschild dynasty has endured some of the most devastating setbacks imaginable. Revolutions swept across Europe in 1848, shaking nearly every country where the family operated. The Naples banking house eventually closed during the 19th century as political and economic conditions changed. Entire markets shifted beneath their feet. Then came the 20th century. In 1938, Nazi Germany annexed Austria. The Vienna branch of the Rothschild family, which had flourished for generations, was stripped of its assets. Homes, businesses, collections, and property were confiscated as the family faced persecution under the Nazi regime. One of Europe's greatest banking houses was effectively dismantled. Ironically, this historical reality completely contradicts many modern myths surrounding the family. They weren't controlling world events. They became victims of them. For many dynasties, a catastrophe on that scale would have marked the end. For the Rothschilds, it became another chapter. Because the family's wealth had never depended on a single city or a single institution, other branches survived. London continued operating. Paris rebuilt after its own setbacks. Even after the French banking business was nationalized in 1981, members of the family gradually rebuilt what would later become the modern Rothschild and Company. This ability to recover wasn't based on luck. It was the direct result of every strategy that came before it. Most entrepreneurs dream about taking their company public. For many, ringing the opening bell at a stock exchange is the ultimate symbol of success. The Rothschilds eventually chose a different ending. In 2023, the family's holding company, Concordia, completed a deal to take Rothschild Co private in a transaction valued at roughly 3.7 billion euros. Instead of remaining listed on the stock market, the family bought back the outstanding public shares, returning control of the business entirely to private ownership under executive chairman Alexandre de Rothschild. It was an extraordinary move, but it reflected a philosophy that had guided the dynasty for generations. Privacy creates freedom. Public companies answer to shareholders every few months. Private companies can think in decades. Today, the family's documented business interests remain substantial. Rothschild Co continues advising governments, corporations, and institutions on major financial transactions around the world. Meanwhile, the Edmond de Rothschild Group, led by CEO Alexandre de Rothschild, manages approximately $245 billion in client assets. That distinction is incredibly important. The company belongs to the family, but the assets belong to its clients, not to the Rothschild family itself. Now we arrive at the question that almost every video about the Rothschilds eventually asks. So, how much are they actually worth? The honest answer surprises almost everyone. Nobody knows. And that's not because somebody is hiding a magical number in a secret vault. It's because there isn't one. Over more than 250 years, the family expanded into hundreds of descendants spread across numerous independent branches. Different family members own different businesses. Some own private companies. Others own vineyards, investment firms, estates, or collections of art. Many assets aren't publicly traded. Others belong to trusts or private holding companies. There is no central headquarters where every dollar is recorded under one balance sheet. Every strategy we've discussed points toward this exact outcome. 5 cities instead of one. Separate branches instead of one ruler. Private businesses instead of public corporations. Assets whose value compounds quietly over generations. Together, they create something incredibly resilient. A fortune that cannot be reduced to one number is extraordinarily difficult to destroy in one event. If you judge success by today's billionaire rankings, the Rothschilds were surpassed long ago. Modern technology founders accumulated fortunes in a single lifetime that are larger than the documented wealth associated with any individual Rothschild. By that scoreboard, they lost. But that was never the game they were playing. Wealth managers often estimate that around 70% of family fortunes disappear by the second generation, and roughly 90% vanish by the third. Against that scoreboard, the Rothschild dynasty stands almost alone. That's the playbook, 250 years of it. If you want to see how this dynasty stacks up against the loudest new money on earth, watch New Money vs Old Money, Elon Musk vs the Rothschilds. And for the head-to-head against America's greatest dynasty, Rothschilds versus Rockefellers, who really owns the world, is on the channel right now. Coming soon. The families behind Walmart and the candy empire you've eaten 1,000 times, the Waltons and the Mars family. Subscribe for more on how the world's biggest fortunes are really built and really kept. We'll see you in the next one.